Would you rather uncontrollably murder somebody every time you hear a song that you love, and if no one is around, you will injure yourself? Or if you kiss or touch your partner on any day that is not Sunday, they'll become 5 years older automatically?
Oh, I'm just, that's a good question because it depends on who I'm killing. But it also, here's the deal with that. I think I could resist. Once a week is fine with me. I'm older now, so Sundays would be fine. I think I'm not a violent person. I don't have guns. I'm not I don't think that I would like murdering someone every time I heard my favorite song, And I think that I'd have to look for another favorite song.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to 1,000 Crazy Questions, the podcast. I'm your currently sane host, Houston Pierce. This is a podcast where I have at least one guest a week and ask a series of crazy would you rather questions. We get into the psyche of our guests, explore topics and questions that maybe shouldn't have been explored. I take my questions from the listener from a list of 1,000 questions. You can submit question suggestions at me at 1kcrazyquestions@gmail.com or at 1,000 Crazy Questions on Instagram. That's 1000 on Instagram. And yeah, also moving to Blue Sky instead of Twitter or X or whatever people are calling it, at Houston_Pierce. So find me on Blue Sky now. And with that, please rate and follow 1,000 Crazy Questions, Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and all those other spots like Spotify, wherever you find your podcast. That's the intro. That's it. We're done. Let's get into the episode this week. This week, we have with us a credible man behind the camera, a little bit of work in front. You may know him from Discovery Channel and Bizarre Foods with Andrew Zimmer. Today, we are joined by Chris Marino. His work is kind of extensive. Chris, you want to introduce us to listeners and kind of tell the people where they may know you from? I
don't know if they know me. I'm an obscure individual, but I did work on Bizarre Foods with Andrew Zimmerman for many years, which was a very popular show on Travel Channel, and did some other of the shows, The Zimmerman List, Driven by Food, Bizarre World. And then before that, I did a documentary on comb-overs called Combover the Movie. That was one that I did in about, that was a long time ago, probably 2005. And before that, a lot of Discovery, Animal Planet, again, Travel Channel shows, and started my career in radio. So yeah, that's about it. That's a good start.
Yeah. No, I mean, I really want to have you on too, because even though you're not that much in front of the camera, your experience is crazy. Yeah. So I was glad to get to meet you like in life and kind of set this up because, I don't know, the wealth of knowledge you have, I honestly, I want what you know, essentially. But yeah. Do you have any, we were talking before this, but is there anything that you like to get into specifically? I mean, as we're recording this, we just got out of the presidential election and whatever, and, is there anything that you want to tackle specifically?
It's a crazy, that was a nutty election, I got to be honest with you. And I, my candidate didn't win, but, we move on. I can obsess on things, so I tend to try not to and just sort of take it a day at a time,
Yeah, good advice, honestly. Yeah, especially with half the country being where it is right now. But yeah. No, it makes sense. Here are the rules to the game. There are 2 rules to this game/conversation. Rule number 1, you must always answer the question no matter what. If you honestly have no preference towards one or the other, you say the phrase, flip a coin, and we move on. Rule number 2, whoever asks the question doesn't have to answer it if they choose not to. These rules exist because as questions become harder to answer, these rules become harder to follow. This week, we have Red Band episode, so the questions asked and topics discussed may not be family friendly, possibly. If you want to check out a simpler version of this podcast, there's a Blue Bands episodes everywhere. Go check them out. It's labeled as the Blue Band when you click on the episode description. Otherwise, stay right here. Both versions of the episodes are just as insightful, ridiculous. I encourage you to go to them after this one. Chris, just want to remind you, if you have different questions for me or variations of questions I've asked, this is a conversational podcast. You're never interrupting. We just go back and forth. An important disclaimer to the listeners, everything's hypothetical. If you're offended by this episode, at me or I don't know. You may not, and I may not respond, but you can do it. I say this every week, but that's true. And lastly, before we begin, Chris, is there anything you'd like to ask or declare? Are there any inherent mental biases you know you may have?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
We'll find out anyway when you start asking questions, right?
Yeah, you got it. That's the point. All right, let's get into it. First hard-hitting question. Would you rather live in Florida or live in New Jersey?
Florida. I don't like cold. That's the bottom line. Is I can take heat a lot better than I can take cold.
Okay. Does the fact that it's like retirement state kind of affect that, or is it just...
No, it's palm trees. It's just palm trees. Forget about the politics. If you remove that, it's the geography. I like the vegetation. I like the heat. I like the water. New Jersey, I grew up on Long Island, so same, as far as weather goes, pretty much the same. In the winter, very, very cloudy, gray. That moist cold. There's nothing worse than like 34-degree rain, so it's like, no, I would definitely live in Florida. But I don't, I might live in South America or in the Caribbean, depending on, my resources at the time. But in actuality, my wife and I are looking at outside of Savannah when we retire.
Okay. Cool. So, sorry, where's Savannah right now?
Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
So it's north of Florida. South of Charleston, but that's where we're looking. So it is about the warmth. It has nothing to do with anything else. It's really just weather.
No, I get that. And first, I haven't been to either. I've been to New York for a minute, but I haven't been that to the southeast. So yeah, I can't really pick personally. I mean, I guess I pick Florida. I guess, and for the same reasons you.
It's warm. I live in Colorado, obviously, and I like it here. But it's still, they're long winters, So that's, I think, living more outside is important to me.
Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of living outside, would you rather have 9 lives or know that reincarnation is real based on the actions in life?
Okay, so you would rather have 9 lives or reincarnation is real, and you could choose that. But it depends. What would I be reincarnated as? That would make a difference. The 9 lives is pretty good. It's, 9 lives is a pretty good deal too. So let me see. Since it's not specific with reincarnation, because I could be reincarnated as a slug, right?
Yeah, it's who you come back as is proportionate to how you were in life. So if you are a terrible person, you're probably gonna be like a slug or something. But if you were a great guy, and you've already lived some life, so you kind of have to just go, well, what would I deserve? I guess if you're really good, you'll be a bird or some kind of free animal. I guess a horse, something.
I think I'm still going with the 9 lives because someone could shoot a bird. The 9 lives gives me a couple of bird shots and some other stuff to, I can die and come back again. The thing that concerns me is I've been pretty good my later part of my life, but I was kind of a dick in the beginning of, from 13 to 20. I had a bit of an alcohol and drug problem, which I've been sober 43 years now. So I'm thinking, what would I come back as a slug with a head? So I'm going with 9 lives. I'm going 9 lives.
Got it. Begs the question, what would you do with the 9? Would you kind of just live them out, or would you be more reckless?
I might be more reckless in the beginning, but I'm pretty conservative when it comes to that. And I'm very hyper, aware of danger. So I might spend 2 lives doing something exciting and dangerous. And then after that, I'd be like, fuck that. I'm not doing that anymore. I quit skiing a long time, 30 years ago when I was, 25 years ago, because I got into the television industry and I knew that if I had broken my leg or gotten injured, that would take me out for 6 months. And you just can't do that in that industry. It just doesn't work. So I was very cautious about that. So I think I'd be pretty cautious.
Yeah, great answer. I mean, but you could spend the whole 8, right? And then be cautious in the last one, because the last one is just pretty much life.
Yes. It's true, but then I have to account for all the variables. What if you get like a brain tumor? Or you get something that is you have no control. Like I have control over whether I'm going to jump out of a plane or whether I'm going to go rock climbing, but I have to save quite a few lives for the variables that I have no control over, and one wouldn't be enough because I could get a brain tumor, right, and then I could get like Huntington's disease or some other horrific disease, and then I would only have one life. I'd be screwed.
No, I got you. And I agree with you, honestly. It's devil's advocating. But okay, so let's say you get to 118 or whatever, and you're in perfect health. It's just your body's shutting down in every single way.
Yeah.
You die, and then you come back maybe 7 more times because you bought yourself like 7 more days past the day you're supposed to die.
That's a good point. So you're saying, you have these 9 lives, but you're still going to age during the process.
Yeah.
All right. So with that in mind, I would probably live as long as I could in a healthy manner. And then, I don't know, just like, since let's say I had 6 or 7 lives left, right? I just walk in front of a truck like 6 times, maybe, or, I don't know what else, I could do that was more peaceful, but I wouldn't live infirmed.
I think walking in front of a truck is, I guess, a peaceful way to go for you at least.
It wouldn't be, but I can't say like I'd go get some fentanyl or I'd do something, although, if someone handed me like something that could put me to sleep and like never wake up, I'd probably prefer to do that than walk in front of a truck.
Yeah.
But given the circumstances, yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't have to be that crazy. But speaking of all this repeat live stuff, you've seen The Truman Show, right? And you've seen
The Truman, yeah.
Okay, and you've seen Groundhog's Day, right?
Yes.
Okay. Which scenario, if you're the main character of those movies, would you rather take?
That's a tough one. Well, I got Andy McDowell in Groundhog's Day, right? Was that Andy McDowell?
Is that his name? No, it's Bill Murray. Andy Yeah, that's right. You're right. Yeah.
I think with Andy McDowell, and I'm looking it up, I want to make sure that was she was in Groundhog. Yeah, she was.
I think she's right.
So, yeah. She was in Groundhog's Day. And at that age, let's say I'm not married, but I wouldn't be. I'd be the Bill Murray maybe character.
Yeah.
I would have to go with Groundhog's Day because Andy McDowell's there.
Okay. Yeah. No. Good answer. Wait, but I don't know the actress in Truman Show, but he does leave his false reality.
Truman Show's good too, but I do really like Andy McDowell. So it's one of those things, and I don't want to be Jim Carrey. I'd rather be Bill Murray.
Okay. Well, you're you. Let's say it's you.
Was it Jim Carrey, right? It was Jim Carrey.
It was Jim Carrey, but I'm saying in this question, it's you. You're placing them. It is you either way.
Yeah. I love Laura Linney as an actress, but I'm going with Andy McDowell. So it would be Groundhog Day.
Okay. It's the women that made you pick one or the other. It's not the surveillance or.
No, the surveillance thing doesn't, I don't know. After a while, I think if you were being surveilled all the time, you probably get used to it after a while.
If you know it, yeah. But
yeah, if you know it.
He found out, and turns out it was his whole life, and that's the whole.
Want to hear an interesting point about Truman Show?
Yeah, go.
Do you know Matt Gaetz, who was the lunatic attorney general that just pulled out, rescinded his nomination? His father owns the house that Truman Show was shot in. I don't know if Matt grew up there. That's just trivia. I just read that when I was reading all of this stuff about the election and all these people, but Matt Gaetz' father owns the Truman Show house.
Okay. It's kind of a, where was that? It looks like it takes place it's
Florida, I think.
It's Florida?
It's Florida. Because they live in Florida. I would imagine it's in Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. The movie says it's supposed to take place in California somewhere, but yeah.
The house is in Florida, I think. But that's just a side note. But I think I'd go with Groundhog Day.
Got it. No, makes sense. All right. Well, I don't know if I agree, but I respect your answer.
No, that's okay.
The next one, this one's a bit I on the Roger side, but which one would you rather have? Would you rather have Pinocchio quotations, uh, dick, penis, whatever, or
Mhm.
Pinocchio tongue?
Oh,
Where, the deal is you lie,
no,
it gets
absolutely.
bigger.
I'm going with the Pinocchio dick.
Okay.
I'm going with the Pinocchio dick on that. And I
If you
think it'd
want
be fun. I think it'd be fun. Now, is this forever? Is this forever?
this is forever.
Yeah, that's tough with the forever, but the tongue thing too would be hanging down on the ground. At least you can't wrap your face. You could, you know, wrap your penis maybe. And
for how long? I mean, how many
I
lies
don't
do you
know.
tell?
I don't know. Or sit behind a desk. But when you're
That's
talking to people, if you had a tongue that just kind of went out the door, you could maybe sit behind a desk with this Pinocchio dick. But I think for a short period of time, a Pinocchio dick would be kind of cool. It might be tough long term. You're not going to get laid a lot because that would be horrific. Everyone thinks,
it actually, yeah.
you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It sounds like a good idea until it's
It sounds
impractical.
like a good idea until, it's like an anaconda that weighs a couple 100 pounds and you can't even lug it around. Because to me, would be the Pinocchio dick.
Do you lie that much to where it's just that's gonna happen? Because
Yeah, that's another question. You can't not lie because people ask you things and you don't want to hurt their feelings. So, like, if someone said to me, you've heard the one, it's like, do I look fat? You can never say, yeah, you kind of look fat. So you say, no, you look great. And then your penis grows. Am I right, though?
Yeah, but that's why you pull a liar, and you just don't lie. You just stop lying, and the world gets different, and it's a whole new perspective.
Yeah. If everybody understood that, that would be great. But if you were like
your
out
wife
there,
if your wife would understand, no, I mean, if you told her, hey, I have this thing now. It sounds great. It's not. I can't. I'm being honest with you, 100% of the time from now on.
yeah, I would say to her, don't ever ask me if you look fat in that. Don't ever say it because, my penis is going to grow unusually large to the point where it's abominable. So you gotta give it give her a heads up on that. But it's tough. I think the tongue would be tougher because, again, depending on how long it gets, you could sit behind a desk and communicate with people. But if you had a tongue, and I know it sounds great, it's sexy, but if you had a tongue that went like 50 feet, you can't even, how can you communicate?
And ASL is what I'm thinking. I mean, that you just become a mute, and you have to just resign to doing this.
And who's gonna bang your normal dick at that point anyway?
They don't. Right? No one's interested in your normal dick. Your tongue is the incredible
thing. But the tongue
then,
is done after like 3 or 4 lies. It's not going to benefit you anymore. You're going to have,
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. Yeah. It's a strong muscle, though. For the record, the tongue. It's like
it is a very strong muscle.
So I mean, it's nothing to be overlooked. But yeah. I think, by the way, for the record, I think I agree with your choice. I'd also pick the Pinocchio dick thing too. I don't know ASL, and that'd be a long thing to learn.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of this. Yeah.
Yeah. And then not everybody knows ASL. So you'd be like,
oh, yeah.
You have to learn ASL to talk to me because my tongue is 40 feet long and weighs 380 pounds.
Yeah. It's not good for podcasting. So, yeah.
And you'd be fed intravenously probably too, or with a hole in your stomach because you can't do anything with a 30-foot tongue.
What do you think? This is open-ended, but what do you think is the best way to teach somebody a lesson? And then to follow that, what's the best way to kind of like tell someone a story?
I don't know. What do you mean? Like tell someone a story? What's the best way? Yeah.
Well, teach someone a lesson. A, B, tell someone a story. Because
absolutely, like sort of depends what the lesson was. What's the infraction that this person needs to be taught a lesson? and then the story thing, it's really important, is the story interesting enough to engage people? Because some people, Andrew Zimmerman, who I worked with for years, that Andrew guy with Bizarre Foods, was a fucking great storyteller.
Seems like a cool guy. Yeah.
The best storyteller, and he could tell a story, and it was fantastic and funny. I don't know if I'm a big storyteller, although I tell stories, which is why my penis grew 40 feet long, because I was telling stories instead of the truth. But yeah, and then the other one, what was the other one? Oh,
lessons. Yeah,
that's.
I mean, do you, for example, are you a guy who's kind of like let life teach them? Like a kid, for instance, like they touch a hot stove and like you told them not to, but then they didn't listen. They touched it. And he was like, just let them get burned
within reason. Within reason, definitely. I'm not a capital. I'm not a hitter. So it's sort of like through life experience, and I have a really good kid. So and I'm not a perfect parent, but you have to let them process their own stuff. Now, if he's going to walk in front of a car or something, you can't let him do that. And or if he's going to touch a hot stove's one thing. If he gets his little finger burnt, that's one thing. Although you probably wouldn't let him do it because that's a little bit harsh. But you have to let them. You have to let them learn and process shit by themselves. Otherwise, you're constantly like blocking them from experiencing life.
Let's say it's someone who's more of an equal to you then. Like, say it's like a colleague. Are you someone who's a proponent of like pranks or something like that? Or is it kind of just, I don't know, like go up in a confrontational way of, hey, Bill, you shouldn't do this anymore? Or is it, let's prank Bill so he knows not to do this anymore? Or like, what's kind of like your style of...
Well, if he did it to me, he's dead to me.
Okay.
But if he's doing something that I might find might be dangerous to him, or may not be, it may be detrimental to what he's trying to achieve, I might say to him, hey, why don't you take a look at this? I was taught early, it's like, if he was doing something ridiculous, the first thing I'd say is like, if he didn't succeed at it, or it caused him harm, it's like the first thing you can say to him is like, hey, how's that working for you? How's your way working for you right now? And hopefully he can say, man, not too fucking well, or, tap him on the shoulder. But it's very hard to tell people. It's like someone that gets into a really bad relationship, man or woman, and it's just a horrific relationship. The person is toxic. It's just not good. You try going up to whether it's a man or a woman, try going up to them and saying, you got to let that guy go. It's like, you can't, it's so hard to do.
Yeah. Oh, I can relate to that too. I've had my best friend actually was in a toxic relationship for, how was it? I don't know. Was it over 2 years? I don't remember. It was longer than it needed to be. And me and other friends around it were all of us were in agreement of this person is just the worst, man. Like none of us liked her. It was kind of just that. And it's really hard to kind of tell that person, even that person, they kind of know it too.
Yeah. But they can't let go. It's like, I've told friends after relationships, it's like, dude, you had a barn full of red fucking flags.
Yeah.
And you ignored them all. It's like, but that's what we do. When you're in love, head over heels with someone you're blinded by, you can't see the forest through the, whatever.
Yeah. The forest through the trees. And
forest through the trees. You kind of, and I've been there. So, I've been there. I had to learn, over a period of time that red flags mean something. When something's not right, something's not right. And you got to look at yourself and see what part you have in it. And then you gotta analyze the situation.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's hard to see when you're in it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of hard to see, would you rather always be high and you'll never get used to it? I don't know if you've been high before, but
God. Yeah.
Okay. And like, so this is a constant high. You're never gonna come down from it. It's never gonna be adjusted to it. It's always gonna be that feeling of,
Yeah.
or always be nice no matter what. And if you get angry, you cannot be mean.
I'm probably going nice because I spent a lot of my younger years high and out of control. So I got to go with nice.
Hmm. Okay.
And
Okay.
just not, sort of not be angry, be very zen about it, maybe study some Buddhism or something,
Hmm.
or, yeah, become a Hindu. I don't know. But that,
Got it. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, okay, okay. I mean, I get the reason for not wanting to be high all the time, but I mean, I think there are some industries where you kind of have to, to put the foot down thing is kind of important, no? Is like you kind of have to go to, hey, don't talk to my child or wife that way, or
Yeah.
hey, we're not gonna go this direction. I made this thing, I don't know. So
But
there
if
are.
I'm high all the time, am I going to ever do that anyway? If I'm, let's say I've got an IV or of constantly with morphine or heroin or something like that, am I really going to give a fuck and say, hey, that's not nice? No, I'm going to say I don't give a fuck because I'm high. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I don't know. I guess if you're in danger and you're high, you might have enough wherewithal to be like, probably not with authority, but like
Yeah.
hey, stop. I don't that.
Plus, if I were high all the time, I wouldn't have a wife or kid. You know what I mean? Because she'd be like, hey, dude, this, yeah, okay. Let me nod out for a while,
Yeah,
I don't think
that's
that's
true.
adequate. So that's
That's
a tough
true.
one. That's sort of like, that's a wash almost. Either
Hmm.
way, you're fucked.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they're not all good. That one's just
I like it though.
yeah.
It's a good one. You still have to discuss it. You just have to come to your own conclusions as to what's best for you.
Yeah. I want to know how you feel about this one, but would you rather always receive funding for every creative venture that you have, or always have time, just like you don't have to find time, you'll always have it for your friends and family? It's more of a wholesome one, but
I want the funding, but I got to have my family. I want to be funded and family. But
yeah.
you're saying you
If you
can't have both.
pick no, if you pick funding, you're gonna have to just like carve out, like find those little beads of time. Where if you pick the friends and family one, it's like
But that's
you've
interesting you
always
say that because that was my life before. One of the reasons why I retired at just before 60 was because I missed my kid's childhood. So even though I wasn't funded, I was on the road, I was traveling all over the world, and I was
Mhm.
away, an enormous amount of time. And then when I wasn't away, I was working on the next show, and it took up so much of my time. And you're always anxious too, because you're always thinking, what can go wrong? What can go wrong? So there was long periods of time that I wasn't present with my family then. So I have to say probably family. At this point, it would be easy. It would be family because I
Mhm.
totally see the other is sort of an illusion. You chase this stuff and you do it and you get to, for lack of a better word, swing dick, you get to be,
Yeah.
you know what I
More
mean?
more more like carefree, more like of on
Yeah.
your own.
And,
Yeah.
you have this cool job and you want to keep that cool job so that people say, oh, he's got a cool job, so it's interesting, but it ate up a big amount of my time and life.
Mhm.
So it would have to be family at this point. Definitely.
That's always a sacrifice though. It's always is. It's always comes
It,
down
it,
to
it is.
yeah, money versus time, and time is always the winner because it's invaluable. We can't get it back at all. So, but
Yeah.
yeah, unfortunately. But yeah, that's what this question boils down to. But so, like, I get the time thing, but you're saying if you can go back, it would be funding.
If I went back to before I was married, there'd be no question it would be funding projects.
Mm-hmm.
If I went back 30 years ago where I didn't have a kid and, I was a little bit, even though I was married, but it's sort of a little bit more carefree. I got to say, I would have been selfish enough not to have taken the funding.
Yeah. But, it's not even selfish. You have less going on, so makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could have used funding for Combover. That was a hard, that was a hard process because we did it, two of us did it with very little resources. So it would have been nice to be funded. Yeah.
Speaking of funding, would you rather uncontrollably murder somebody every time you hear a song that you love, and if no one is around, you will injure yourself? Or if you kiss or touch your partner on any day that is not Sunday, they'll become 5 years older automatically?
Oh, I'm just, that's a good question because it would depend who I'm killing. But it also, here's the deal with that. I think I could resist. Once a week is fine with me. I'm older now, so Sundays would be fine. I could hold out till Sunday. So, I wouldn't want my partner getting 5 years older. That doesn't take long before they're gone.
Yeah.
I think I could do the Sunday. I think I'm not a violent person. I don't have guns. I'm not I don't think that I would like murdering someone every time I heard my favorite song, and I think that I'd have to look for another fucking favorite song.
What's your favorite? Is your favorite song popular right now? Is it come up on the radio?
No, I listen to, I like Tyler Childers a lot right now. Do you know who he is?
No, sorry.
Yeah, he's from Kentucky, sort of country, bluegrassy, type music. But, because that's what I did years ago. I was in radio. I ran a traditional or neo-traditional country station. Mm-hmm. So...
Yeah, just don't listen to radio, right? With the first one, if you just don't listen to the song, everything's fine. It's normal. Life goes on.
But even if you go to the store, you have to control every environment you're in because, you can go to Nordstrom Rack and there's music playing, or you go to Starbucks and there's music playing, and all of a sudden you're fucking killing the barista for no reason, right?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. It's like a werewolf type deal. Yeah. Okay, so you're holding on till Sunday. Okay.
Yeah, I'm holding on till Sunday.
Okay. I want to just to make this one worse. Okay, what if it were every third Sunday? Does that change it? Or I can do it?
No, I still have to do it. Because I can't do the other. That's just not workable. And I wouldn't want my mate to get 5 years older. That would be a tragedy. So I'd have to do it. I'd have to go the 3 weeks,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Nope,
4 weeks might be pushing it.
Yeah. I won't go past 4. I won't go past 4 weeks as it balance somehow. Yeah. Okay. This next one is a bit on the raunchy side too, I guess. But would you rather know that eating out a woman will heal you from any illness, or sucking 9 wow, I don't know why I came up with this number, 9 penises in a day will give you teleportation?
Will give me what? Teleportation?
Teleportation, and you will just have it, period.
Yeah. What's the first one?
Eating out will heal you.
Oh, I got to go with, with
from any illness. So
I'm going. Eating out will heal me. Okay. First of all, I'm a little bit of a hypochondriac, so that's right up my alley. Pussy and healing is a beautiful thing. The other thing, the teleportation thing, it could be nice at times. There would have to be a future element to it too, with the teleportation, for it really to be attractive, because then you could go into the future and find cures for anything you had, or you could go into the future and you could teleport to the future and you could see the Dodgers are going to win the World Series in how many games, and you'd be a millionaire, a billionaire fairly soon. So, but just the teleportation thing.
That's powerful. That's anywhere on the world immediately. I think that's because you can go to a bank vault, for example, in, I don't know, freaking Italy, just take a bag and whoop and get out of there.
But you don't get the cures that you get. And let me ask you this: if I'm teleporting, can I still be eating pussy?
Bring her along with you, I guess.
I'm going to go with the cure, cure any illness and the.
Yeah, and it's your illness, for the record. By the way, it's
my illness.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Are you sure? I don't know. Teleportation.
I'm pretty positive, because the other is that's really specific. Eat a pussy, get cured of your tumors.
Yes.
The other is a little bit more vague. It's like, yeah, you can do this, you can do that, you can do anything, but
the prerequisite is that you had to suck 9 dicks before it happened. That's
and I had to suck 9 dicks before it happened. That's right. You're bringing that up right now. No, any more than 3, and I think I'd have a tough time. So,
yeah.
No,
I gotcha.
9's excessive.
It is, but it's a powerful power. So I had to put that. Then that's why the number's so high. It's
yes, I understand what you're saying.
Okay, it's expensive for a reason. Nice. Oh man, I forgot what I was going to say. Who in life right now would make the worst bibliography movie, and conversely, which one do you want to see?
Oh, okay.
Biography. Bibliography book. Yeah, no, biography. Who's which one do you want to see right now, and who's make the worst right now?
Who would make the worst? Who would make the best? Wow, that's a good one. I can't.
I could think of one right off the bat.
What is it?
Just because of the zeitgeist right now. Just Diddy. I mean, that's a gimme.
Dude, wow. That is awesome. That is a good one. You're right. You're taking it right out of the headline.
I mean, why not? I got
to agree with you.
That dates this episode because, a couple months or
if
weeks,
you could really like have all of the facts of what went on throughout his life.
That might be the best in a way if you have all the facts and if you actually it would be a good movie in the terms of like you feel good. It'd be like just super interesting. It'd be like a whole.
It'd be like a horror show on one level.
Yeah,
it'd be like an indictment of what, because I really believe that excess breeds fucking crazy shit, and this is a guy that from the time he was extremely young was just worshipped, and with that head trip, and I'm not making excuses for him, but I think a lot of people go down that road. I mean, you can look at Donald Trump, you can look at other people, they lose touch with fucking reality. I mean, Diddy is so removed from reality. I mean, he walks into a restaurant and, up until they put him in jail, but I mean, and all this shit came out, but I mean, the C's part, they're very, just like Paul McCartney, Taylor Swift, people like that are so enormous. And it's got to be, I just don't think that that's a healthy place to be. And then not having someone in your life that grounds you. Like I heard Snoop Dogg talk one day. I read an article where, Snoop has got all this shit going on. I mean, he's got it going on.
He's Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, like him or don't like him. I happen to like him a lot, but like him or not like him, the guy is all over television, all over. He gets invited everywhere. And I know from being in the industry, he has to be a decent guy, a nice guy, because people wouldn't tolerate it. After a while, they'd be like, fuck him, But he said, they asked him, what keeps you so grounded? His wife. So he has someone in his life who will tell him the truth, and he'll take a second and say, yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe I'm being a dick, or maybe I shouldn't do that. I know my wife does that to me. She'll say, yeah, you might want to think that through, And so I don't think Diddy has that.
Yeah. That's a really good point. That's a really good point. Snoop Dogg seems like one of those celebrities too, who are kind of not just nice, but down to earth specifically. Yeah, he
Yes.
hangs out with like normal, quote unquote, normal
Yeah.
people. But like, yeah, he had a cameo for a small period of time. He'll appear on like these things, like kids movies. Like you don't need to be in
I
this,
saw that.
Snoop. You're bigger than this.
I
But
saw that movie where he played the soccer. Was it the football coach? I mean, the guy. You
yeah.
gotta like him.
Yeah, he reaches out and he'll appear in like a country song, an ad, in a kids movie, an animated. Like he'll lend his voice to stuff. He'll be in things he doesn't need to be in.
No.
Like things in like and he'll still feature on a song from now and then too. Like he's
Well, I love the Monday Night Football opening sequence with him and Chris Stapleton.
Oh yeah.
You know, what is it? It's Phil Collins' song, and he's great. It's like a great little thing, and he's doing that, and he's doing this, he's doing everything. I'm a Snoop fan because I know from being I certainly wasn't working for Warner Brothers, but I've been around a lot of dicks and people that are difficult to work with, and they just eventually they fade away, a lot of them, and this guy is just out there all the time. He's got to be a decent guy.
He's his own brand, I'd say, at this point. Yeah. The smoke weed with Snoop Dogg would cost, I don't know how much, but he can sell that, honestly.
Yeah.
You want to hang out with me? 2,000, I don't know, smoke some weed with Snoop. I think line will be out the door, and he can set the price at 2,000, I think.
He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
So what was that about? That was about doing a story on something. I think Snoop would be a good one too, just to see how he's gotten to where he is. That'd be a good one. Yeah. The other one, the P. Diddy one, would be great because you're like, whoa, what was really going on? Who was really involved?
Yeah. Now, P. Diddy biopic and then a Snoop Dogg biopic. Yeah. Yeah, those are pretty good. Anyone who you'd hate to see outside of Diddy? Or
I hate seeing there are people that I like. Like, give you an example, there are a lot of bios or documentaries or stories that I wouldn't watch, like Ellen DeGeneres. I wouldn't watch it. I would have no interest,
Oh, okay, really?
Yeah, I mean, I guess being in the industry, when you hear like she treated her crew badly, and we were talking about celebrities, so it kind of came.
Sure.
And she's been in the news lately because she moved to England. She's living now in England, so that came to mind, and I'd be like, man, I don't care.
Mm-hmm. She had that Netflix special that I actually saw, but the thing is, I didn't really know much.
Was it funny?
Oh man, that's a hard question. Actually, was it funny? It was very basic humor. Like how people go down to the common denominator. That's what you're supposed to do for humor. But it was very basic. Like how there was a joke about how the car has a lumbar support, and she's like, "What's the lumbar?" And I don't know what that is really, and a lot of people in the audience don't know what that is. So I got a chuckle. But me at home, I'm like, I go in my head, yeah, that is weird. Huh? Yeah, kind of like a nose, like huh?
Yeah,
interesting point.
It was an observational comedy, but it was like, okay,
it was kind of like
more.
Yeah, me at home, like, huh? Interesting. Yeah. And then everyone in the audience go, whoa! Oh my god! Look, what is the lumbar? I'm like, okay. It wasn't that funny. It was like that. The whole episode, the whole show was like that. And then she did address how someone, and she kind of just said, people said she was mean, and then she hurt her feelings, and she took herself off, and then she had to see a therapist essentially, and she had to find out if she liked being with herself, and then she counted her blessings or accomplishments and was able to kind of move on and live with herself. Me not knowing the full gravity of what, like, well, were you mean? Like, were you yelling at your people? That's just kind of glossed over with the thin sheet.
That's what they said. That was the critique of it. She sort of just glossed it over and used it as a comedy bit. And the reality was, look, again, excess, too much power. You don't have anyone that you trust that's saying, hey, man, you're being an asshole, and listening to them. I think that you look at guys like Tom Hanks, that they have people that ground them. Jeff Bridges, that they have people that ground them. You just know that somewhere along the line, they're not fucking crazy. They've been successful for a long period of time, and you're not reading about them all the time, Snoop is another example of, he obviously has someone that he listens to.
Yeah, and it keeps him humble.
Behavior. Yeah, keeps him humble.
Yeah, it makes him interesting to be around. Yeah.
Yeah. Denzel Washington's another one. He had a problem with drug and alcohol. I've read that many times. He's cleared that up. But he's extremely successful, and yet he doesn't go looking for paparazzis to get mad at, and
Yeah, no, yeah, and I guess when I'm that big, if I ever make it to that point, I just kind of hope that I'm grounded, because everyone wants success.
Yeah,
it's grounding yourself is something no one really asks for. I mean, to quote you too, excess brings crazy shit. So
it definitely can.
That's a great quote. All right. I think I got my last question here, and it's kind of it's a stupid one.
I like stupid questions.
Would you rather be able to piss fire or produce eyeballs anywhere on your body? Be able to produce eyeballs anywhere on your body, like it's at will.
Anywhere on my body.
Mm-hmm.
The eyeballs see, obviously, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but do I really need that? I can use a mirror. I'm pissing fire, I mean, I'd be burning, that's pretty good shit, Although when you're camping in a national forest somewhere, you got to be careful, because you get out of your tent and you piss and you blow the place up. But, I mean, I definitely putting eyeballs all over me. Yeah, that's just because then if you put eyeballs all over yourself, right, then you got to protect them sort of, because like an eyeball is a sensitive, squishy thing.
Yeah. Just give it a. Well, yeah. Just pull it back in once you're done using it, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know if having that many eyeballs all over my body is that impressive, but piss and fire would be something.
Yeah.
You're in a urinal at a restaurant. Some guy pisses you off, and you just burn him to death. I mean, come on. That's what I mean.
I'd be hella scared if someone turned around. Like, you think you're gonna get pissed on? Like, it's like, that's already disturbing. It's gross enough, but then it's fire. Yeah, the whole mood changes. The whole thing changes. Yeah.
You're not gonna. I'll tell you, it's not gonna come in the bedroom with water sports. That's for sure. You're not gonna be able to play that game.
Oof, no, you gotta be careful about that.
You really do. But I think definitely that's an easy one. I'm pissing fire.
All right. Well, I think that's a great quote. And we'll end it there. Thank you so much, listeners of 1,000 Crazy Questions, for joining into this episode. I appreciate you guys. And Chris, want to head over the spotlight to you. Is there anything you want to plug, or just tell the listeners in general?
No, I think that I've had a good time. Those are good questions. They're fun. It's fun to think about things that you don't usually think about.
Thanks. It's all weird, but sometimes a good conversation out of it. But yeah.
But you get to see how someone thinks, because they got to make choices.
No, you got it. That's what I try to do. Thank you, listeners, again. Let me know through comments, by email or Instagram, if there are any questions you'd like to add to the list. And rate and follow the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, all those places. It helps a lot. And share this with your friends. Share this with your enemies. Everyone stay safe. Bye.
Bye.
As always, follow my music producer D800, D-800 at BeatStars or SoundCloud.com.